Most people know the story of Regan McNeil from The Exorcist, the spinning head, the chilling voice, the epic battle between priests and a demon. The film shocked audiences and became a cultural phenomenon, cementing its place as one of the most iconic horror movies of all time. But what many don't realize is that the roots of this terrifying tale reach far deeper than Hollywood's imagination. But what if I told you this terrifying tale was inspired by real events? The story that chilled millions on screen actually began with a series of strange and disturbing incidents in a quiet American suburb. Decades before the book or film, a true case unfolded, not with a girl in Georgetown, but a 13-year-old boy in Maryland known as Roland Doe. His real name was kept secret to protect his identity, but his ordeal would become legendary. In 1949, Roland's family faced a nightmare that defied explanation. Strange noises echoed through their home, furniture moved on its own, and mysterious marks appeared on his skin. The family was terrified as the bizarre events escalated night after night, leaving them desperate for answers. Doctors, scientists, and priests were all baffled as the family's ordeal pushed them to the edge of sanity. Medical experts searched for logical explanations, but nothing seemed to fit. The case drew the attention of both skeptics and believers, each trying to make sense of the unexplainable. The church's desperate attempt to save Roland through exorcism became the foundation for The Exorcist. Priests performed ritual after ritual, hoping to free the boy from what they believed was a demonic force. The official records reveal a spiritual war that lasted weeks, far more personal and raw than any Hollywood scene. The priests documented every chilling moment, from violent outbursts to eerie voices, creating a detailed account that would later inspire the novel and film. This was a private nightmare that became a public obsession. News of the exorcism leaked, and soon the quiet neighborhood was swarmed by journalists and curious onlookers, all eager to catch a glimpse of the supernatural. The story of Roland Doe forces us to ask, what happens when science fails, and people believe they're facing true evil? The case remains a mystery, blurring the line between faith and fear, skepticism and belief. Sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones that are true. And the real events behind The Exorcist remind us that the unknown can be far more frightening than anything we see on screen. In 1949, in Cottage City, Maryland, Roland Doe was a quiet, only child, especially close to his Aunt Harriet, a spiritualist who believed the Ouija board could contact the dead. Aunt Harriet was not just a relative. She was a guiding light in Roland's life, filling his days with stories of the supernatural and the mysteries of the afterlife. She taught Roland how to use it, and together they spent hours seeking messages from beyond. The Ouija board became their special bond, a secret world where they could explore the unknown together. When Aunt Harriet died suddenly, Roland was devastated. Her passing left a void in his heart that nothing seemed to fill. The house felt emptier, and the days grew longer without her presence. Grieving, he tried to use the Ouija board alone, hoping to reach her spirit. He spent countless nights in his dimly lit room, his small hands trembling as he moved the planchette, whispering her name into the darkness. But using the board solo, he unknowingly opened a door to something else. The air grew colder, and an unsettling feeling crept into the room, as if he was no longer alone. Soon after, strange things began happening in the house. It started with small, inexplicable events, objects moving on their own, doors creaking open without a breeze, objects moved, odd noises echoed, and the family's peaceful life unraveled. The once quiet home was now filled with an eerie tension, as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets. What started as a boy's innocent wish to speak to his aunt became the catalyst for a series of terrifying events. The shadows seemed to grow darker and the nights more restless. The disturbances centered on Roland, the lonely boy desperate for one last connection. His once bright eyes now filled with fear and confusion as he struggled to understand the forces he had unleashed. The family's world was about to be shattered. They huddled together, seeking comfort in each other, but the sense of dread was inescapable. And it all began with a simple Ouija board. What was once a tool for innocent curiosity had become a gateway to the unknown, forever changing their lives. After Roland's solo Ouija sessions, the family's home changed forever. It started with faint, rhythmic scratching in the walls, always following Roland. Then, things escalated. Furniture slid across the floor, his mattress shook violently, and objects flew through the air. Even a picture of Jesus would shake when Roland passed by. The family, once skeptical, searched for logical explanations. Rats, vibrations, pranks, but nothing fit. The events grew more intense. Marching footsteps echoed, mysterious dripping sounds haunted the house, and fear took over. The disturbances were too powerful and complex for a child to fake. The family realized they were facing something beyond their understanding. Their home was no longer safe. Anxiety and dread became constant companions. The strange occurrences felt like a targeted assault. The family was desperate for answers, and the worst was yet to come. Terrified and out of options, Roland's family turned to their Lutheran pastor, Reverend Schulze. Skeptical at first, the Reverend invited Roland to stay overnight, and witnessed a heavy chair move on its own, along with the infamous scratching sounds. Convinced this was no prank, Schulze advised the family to seek help from the Catholic Church, experts in exorcism. The case quickly escalated up the church hierarchy, landing with Jesuit priest Father Edward Hughes. With the Archbishop's approval, Father Hughes prepared to perform an exorcism. The family's search for help had led them from their own church to the ancient rites of Catholicism. They were no longer just fighting for answers, they were fighting for Roland's soul. The stage was set for a confrontation with something they could barely comprehend. The church was now involved. The real battle was about to begin. As the church prepared to intervene, Roland's condition spiraled. Red marks and words like hell appeared on his skin, as if carved by invisible hands. His personality changed. He spoke in guttural voices, cursed in Latin, and reacted violently to anything sacred. Roland's strength became superhuman. It took several adults to restrain him. He spat, thrashed, and contorted his body in unnatural ways. The family now feared not just the supernatural, but Roland himself. The classic signs of possession, unknown languages, aversion to holy objects, unnatural strength, were all present. During an early exorcism attempt, Roland broke free and injured Father Hughes. The darkness had fully taken hold. The fight for Roland's soul was just beginning. After the failed exorcism, the family, terrified and desperate for answers, fled to relatives in St. Louis, hoping distance would bring relief from the torment that haunted them. There, Jesuit priests Father Bowdern and Father Halloran took up the case, joined by Father Bishop, who meticulously documented every detail. The priests gathered late into the night, poring over notes and praying for guidance, aware of the gravity of what they faced. The exorcism began at the relative's home, following strict Catholic ritual, hours of Latin prayers, holy water, and commands for the demon to reveal itself. The air was thick with tension and fear as the priests invoked ancient rites, their voices unwavering despite the unknown dangers. Roland's reactions were immediate and violent, cursing, spitting, and thrashing as the room filled with an unnatural cold and a foul stench. The family watched in horror, powerless to help, as the boy seemed overtaken by a force beyond comprehension. Objects flew across the room, the bed shook violently, and red welts appeared on Roland's body as if scratched by invisible claws. The phenomena defied explanation, leaving even the priests shaken. The priests believed they were battling a true demonic entity, something far beyond ordinary human experience. Their faith was tested with every passing hour. The sessions were grueling, pushing everyone to their limits. Each night left the priests and family more exhausted, their nerves frayed by the relentless struggle. Eventually, fearing for Roland's safety and the family's well-being, the priests moved him to the psychiatric wing of a local hospital. There, they hoped the controlled environment would offer some protection. There, the exorcism continued in a secure room, away from the public eye. The spiritual battle intensified, with new challenges emerging in the sterile, lonely hospital corridors. The priests were determined to see it through, drawing strength from their faith and from each other, refusing to let fear or exhaustion break their resolve. The cost, physical, emotional, and spiritual, was immense. The ordeal left scars on everyone involved, testing the limits of their endurance and belief. But they refused to give up, united in their mission to save Roland, no matter the darkness they faced. In the hospital's secure room, the exorcism reached its peak. For weeks, the priests endured violent outbursts, guttural voices, and supernatural phenomena. Roland's mattress shook, red marks appeared, and the entity taunted the priests, claiming to be Satan. The priests, exhausted but resolute, performed over 20 exorcism sessions. The turning point came during a violent episode. Father Bodern invoked Saint Michael the Archangel, commanding the demon to leave. On April 18, 1949, as prayers filled the room, Roland convulsed violently. Suddenly, a new, clear voice, claiming to be Saint Michael, commanded the demon to depart. A loud pop echoed through the hospital. Silence fell. Roland opened his eyes, calm and himself again. "He's gone," he said. The ordeal was finally over. The priests had won the battle for his soul. The silence after the exorcism was profound. Roland remembered nothing of the ordeal, just a long, dark blank. The priests, exhausted, believed they had witnessed a miracle. Father Bodern kept quiet about the case, while Father Halloran later confirmed its core events. Roland and his family returned home, determined to move on. By all accounts, Roland grew up, married, and lived a normal life, never again troubled by the supernatural. The family stayed private, grateful to the priests who saved their son. But the story didn't disappear. Father Bishop's diary became part of the church's confidential records. Whispers and rumors spread, turning the case into local legend. It was a documented modern exorcism, waiting for someone to uncover it. And eventually, someone did. The story of Roland Doe might have faded into obscurity, if not for me, William Peter Blatty. As a Georgetown student, I heard about the case from a priest professor, and it haunted me for years. In 1971, I published The Exorcist, drawing directly from Roland's ordeal, the scratching, levitating bed, words on skin, and the epic exorcism. The novel became a bestseller, and the 1973 film adaptation shocked the world. Audiences were terrified. The film became a cultural event, sparking debates about faith, evil, and the supernatural. The story of Roland Doe, filtered through fiction, left a permanent mark on popular culture. It revived the horror genre and inspired countless possession films. But the real story remains a chilling mystery. Was Roland truly possessed, or was it something else? Psychological, neurological, or mass hysteria? The questions linger, at the intersection of faith, science, and the unexplained.